to TV3 New Day. Now, my guests have joined me. They're seated already, and would like to get into a conversation with them. You can always join us on WhatsApp, 020216633. Now, we're talking about the second conference on African culture and sustainable development, women in African politics. I've been joined by two dynamic women on the continent of Africa. And Dr. Desta Meho is the liaison officer for the African Union. She is also the head of diaspora community in Ghana and a former assistant to His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. Welcome, madam. Good morning and thank you. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Also,
although I don't think that's me, but good morning.
That's not you, after.
Yeah, those things that was just mentioned.
And we have also a former Deputy Minister for Culture, Tourism and Creative Arts and a pioneer in many fields in Ghana, Honorable Dzifa Gomashie. I mean, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
You look resplendent.
Thank you. Could be better if we were having coffee or tea.
We'll do Akasa Fio. Let's talk about women in politics on the African continent. What's your general view? Are women getting a lot of access and participation?
I wouldn't say necessarily a lot, but certainly we've been seeing progress. We can look at what's just happened recently in Ethiopia with the appointment of a new president and half of the ministers now being female. We've got Rwanda. Many examples. But one of the things that I always caveat this with is that this is not new in terms of the history of African women. And we have to start looking at the history, who we were, what were our contributions pre-slavery, pre-colonialism, in terms of how we restore, you know, who we are versus trying to adopt sort of Western narratives about gender parity, etc. So I do see the progress. There's a lot more that has to be done. Okay. But the optics is pretty good right now.
I see. Mamaga, you've wear two hats. You're royalty. You sit on the Asian stools. You've done politics. In our country, do you see a lot of access and opportunity given to women to participate on the political front?
Well, thank you. I think that just before I go into answering the question you just asked me, I would say also, in addition to what she said, that leadership for women has just evolved. Okay. From what traditionally was African to what is global now. And when you look at the global setting, then there's some differences. But otherwise, women have always been in leadership. Even if you look at, if you take, for example, in the barracks, you have women leaders called Magajia, who are in charge or lead the women. So that's what I wanted to add. Okay. But coming back to the Ghana setting and whether we have done well or not, I think that some improvement, I mean, advisedly, some improvement has been made, but if you look at the figures in Parliament, then you'll be discouraged. Okay. But I think that many more women are coming out and willing to try and willing to take advantage of the situation and willing to be a part of the people who sit around the table to discuss the affairs of humankind. Okay. And so in that regard, I think that we've made some improvement. In the past, people who hedge will not want to come forward, but now women are contesting. They may not necessarily be winning as much as we want, but they are putting themselves out there, and I think that's good.
From the AU's perspective, you have the AU meetings and you see a lot of men suited in tie there. Does it indicate that women are not qualified to sit at that table?
Not at all. I think what it indicates is that we have policies and procedures that need to be revisited.
For example?
One, you know, again, what is the election process like? You know, who are these candidates, you know, and how do we have A versus B? And I like to go back, you know, I'm a mother of 10 children. I gave birth to 10 babies. And my thing is we have to start early. If we start early with this education and not just formal, but informal and traditional education that boosts the confidence of our girls, then we start them on the right trajectory from day one to ensure that within a simple 20 years we've transformed what it looks like at the AU. So it's not just suits.
Why this conference, I may want to ask? The theme is Women in Politics. We're talking determination and inhibition. Why this theme? Why this conference?
We need to have this conversation for many reasons, some of which we have talked about already. Okay. And additionally, if you look at the ways in which we practice politics, then it cuts off a lot of women. Okay. Now, it's capital intensive. It does not allow the fact that a woman is a woman because she's a mother and she's a wife and she has a job and all of that. So her entry into politics should not be on the same, well, maybe on the same platform, but some considerations have to be done by parties.
What kind of considerations are these?
Well, if
you got your deputy ministerial position based on merit,
right?
What you had done before, from the National Theatre by the fireside and all of that. So you had a full grasp of the issues in the sector. Right. What other considerations must we make for women?
No, we're not talking only about political appointments. Okay. We're talking also about those who offer themselves to be to elective positions. Right. We should be able to support women to be able to pay, for example, the fees. Okay. The filing fees. Look, communication is expensive. Okay. If you want to sell your message, if you want to put yourself out there, it is expensive. Okay. And women don't usually have access to the amount of resources that men have. Why? Because we all go to the same universities, but when we go to apply for jobs, the bargaining power and the status quo has been to favor one species against the other. We can't, that conversation cannot even be held at this table because you don't have the time, one. And so it's an issue that has to be faced frontally. We can't just play around it anymore. I think it's about time. If you see what Rwanda, if you see what Ethiopia are doing, then that's what we should do. In our own constitution, we do have that a certain percentage of women should be in appointments. Absolutely. Are we doing that as a country? So again, is the reason why that was put in the constitution. Okay. If we are not doing it, then we need to be saying, we need to be having conversations such as this one to discuss it and bring to the fore issues that affect women directly and why it is important for all of us, both genders, to sit at table to discuss what affects our daily lives, everything that we do. You know, but if we leave only one faction to decide what affects the collective, we shoot ourselves in the foot. Exactly.
Doc, wrap up this conversation for me. Where are we meeting and who are the speakers?
Well, I am certainly one of the speakers. My sister here is one of the speakers. But one of the things I wanted to interject is that I like the approach of this nexus between culture and politics. Because at the heart of it, exactly. Culture is so important. The culture of mothering, the culture of parenting, of family, and so forth. So changing this paradigm of how we approach and we build political institutions is very important. I'm an activist. I'm coming from that strain, if you will, and a cultural activist that uses culture to promote various messages and so forth. And so we're excited about this opportunity, this unique opportunity, again, to combine. You know, so it's a different approach, it's a different way of looking at it. And this is what we need, is new approaches, new solutions to this age-old problem.
Most grateful for your time. Yes, Mom, finally.
Should I?
Yes, 30 seconds for you.
Yeah, so I was going to say that if you look at what happens within our cultural setting, the roles that that define womanhood, can we not use the same roles to advance the development of our communities? So until we have the dialogue, we cannot know what the strength of the culture is and how we can use that to advance.
Have we relegated our culture to the background?
Selectively. I mean, selectively. We decide when to practice our culture and when not to practice it. I do admit that not everything in our cultural space must be allowed to continue. Female genital mutilation is a no-no. Child marriage is a no. But there's some positive things that we do as a people, preparing young adults into adulthood.
Like the rites of passage.
Those are fantastic. Our intangible cultural heritage is fantastic. The UNESCO promotes it. We should promote it as well. So there's some positive things about our culture, but we need to look at how we use that towards our development as a people.
And all the powerful women are going to be meeting from the 28th to the 30th of November at the MJ Grand Hotel in Accra. We're talking the second conference on African culture and sustainable development. The theme is women in African politics. Is there a determination and an inhibition that prevents them or precludes them from actively participating and impacting society, scratching people where they itch. My guests have been Dr. Desta Meho. Thank you very much, Doc. And the Honorable Dzifa Gomashie, former Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts of the Republic of Ghana.